manufacturing and technology transfer of the producing the products. So typically the R&D functions for getting the research and development done. Once the R&D is done, then we transfer that technology to the production manufacturing, which is under CGMP. So we have to investigate again retrospectively whenever there is a question comes back. So again you have to think through CGMP audits and inspection guidelines, what exactly must have happened. You have to coordinate with R&D level as well. So getting the things done again is a part of responsibility of regulatory affairs function. Participate in regulatory, customer, CGMP inspections, review audit reports, submit compliance report to regulatory agencies. So there are every year we have to submit certain regulatory compliance reports of the product which has been approved and distributed in the market, and we have to provide the annual compliance report to the agency. Everything is being aligned, whatever the product is being approved, say for example 2021 and today is 2024, so you have to submit 3 annual reports every year. ये उस प्रोडक्ट में कुछ भी चेंज नहीं हुआ है, जो भी चेंजेस है हम सब उसको इवैल्यूएट करके चेंज कंट्रोल डाल के उसको अप्रूव कर रहे हैं. सो यू हैव टू give the assurance to the agency the product which is being distributed from last 3 years in your country is having the same sort of safety and efficacy and quality which was there during the approval period. So this is again a job and function of regulatory affairs person. Now how to keep up with constant changing regulatory landscape. Like I said, रेग्युलेटरी ही फील्ड कंटिन्यूअस इव्हॉल्विंग फील्ड आहे. त्याच्यामध्ये जे काही रेग्युलेशन्स आपण ऑल ओव्हर कंट्रीज जे काही रेग्युलेशन्स आपण स्टडी करतो ते नेहमी इव्हॉल्व होत असतात. सो रेग्युलेटरी इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑन वेबसाइट्स, ब्लॉग्स अँड सोशल ग्रुप्स. सो हाऊ कॅन वन keep a track of all these changes? By subscribing to certain professional newsletters, seminars and trainings like we are doing it today. Then there are certain literatures which are available on the websites like PubMed. Then there are certain subscription emails, professional networking within all of us or the industry experts, guidance documents and warning letters. So these are certain examples which I have just listed to keep oneself updated in the field of regulatory. Then qualities, like we discussed, what are the different qualities which are required to be a good regulatory affairs professional? Decisive, he should be making the decisions, because regulatory affairs person is a decision making person. That person guides the company CEOs, that person guides the company CFOs, that person also guides different departmental heads. So you will be sitting in a decisive position in the company once you have good amount of experience, of course. Then authoritative, team player, good IT skills. Yes, we require good IT skills while functioning in the regulatory affairs, because we have a job of completely which is oriented within the soft skills which are required for generating the e-documents, technical documents, reviewing the documents. So you should be well versed about the MS Office applications and other tools and softwares which are present and used very commonly in regulatory affairs. We will be discussing in the next slides. Good oral and written communication, like we discussed. Then analytical knowledge, which is required just to investigate any certain things which has happened not as per the CGMP. How many of you know CAPA? CAPA. Okay, again it's one of the product of QMS coming under quality. So CAPA, for example, some things happens not as per the SOP or as per the BMR, then one need to investigate retrospectively in coordination with quality assurance person. What was the peak point of initiating that particular change in that particular product manufacturing process or analytical development process. So you need to have good analytical knowledge, good question asking capabilities whenever you deal with such situations. Able to apply scientific and regulatory principles, that's very common. Then flexible, always willing to learn, because learning never stops in regulatory, as it says. Myself, Dr. Shrikant sir, Alay sir, we are all been working in regulatory since more than 10 years now, but still we have to learn a lot. We have to gain good knowledge about what are the regulatory practices being followed in different countries, what are the databases available. So we have to continuously learn. So while working in regulatory, you have to learn as well as perform, and then you can get good evolutions in your own career. Next is Like I said, we will be discussing current advancements in regulatory affairs. Before that, I would like to stop for a moment. Like we have discussed on the slide, you can see different regulatory agencies, introduction to regulatory affairs profession, what are the different qualities one need to have while working in regulatory affairs field, and what are the different roles and responsibilities of the regulatory affairs professional. So, any one of you have any comments, any observations or questions before we proceed to the next topic, please? कोणाला काही क्वेश्चन आहे? कारण मला जेवढं सांगितलं की खूप जण क्युरियस आहेत टू नो अबाउट रेग्युलेटरी. सो एनी क्वेश्चन, एनीवन? आज इथे पोस्टर प्रेझेंटेशन पण होणार आहे बरोबर? ते रेग्युलेटरी टॉपिक्स आहेत का दुसरे आहेत? Who is participating in poster presentation? Okay, good. That must be regulatory, right? Related to regulatory. What's your topic?
Understanding the regulatory market for BRICS nations.
For?
BRICS countries.
BRICS countries, okay. Brazil, Russia, India, China. And what is S?
South Africa.
South Africa, okay. Yes. So, as I said, there are a group of nations, please sit down. There are a group of nations who have their own regional specific regulatory requirements. BRICS is one of that. So even Russia, they have also their own CIS regulations which are applicable for 4 or 5 countries, and you get the approval in those 5 countries in one submission of one dossiers. So understanding all of this, I guess you have understood the basics of regulatory. With that, I would like to move ahead with what are the different advancements which are coming up and going on in the regulatory field. So regulatory intelligence is one of them. So what do you mean by regulatory intelligence? Anyone can just read it loud, please? Okay, sure, I'll read it. So regulatory intelligence allows the regulatory professionals to determine the requirements for global clinical trials. That's just one example. Compliance procedures, manufacturing requirements, advise personnel, answer strategic regulatory questions, and develop a global marketing application. That's just an example of this domain. Regulatory is, is there in all sort of domains, not only marketing authorization applications. Regulatory is a term which is used for PV, pharmacovigilance as well, clinical trials, then innovations, development of the molecules starting from scratch. So regulatory starts whenever you think of a molecule to be manufactured, and this is how the regulatory intelligence is used nowadays to keep up-to-date data of the evolving regulations across the countries in the globe. So whenever there is a change in US FDA, that may impact the other world regulations as well, because you know ICH. Anyone knows ICH? Correct. Short form like International Conference on Harmonization. So ICH, who are the members of ICH? The countries? US, Europe, Japan, and there are different observatory bodies who are again part of ICH. So ICH is again one of the harmonization effort across the globe, which keeps on updating the guidelines which are applicable for all these countries, and there are a number of countries who follows ICH guidelines. So whatever change in US FDA, that may impact the other regions, other countries as well, even India as well. So we need to keep up to date about the changes which are going on in the regulatory world. So that's the reason this is a new department which is started. Basically this is an old concept, but now it's been started establishing more roots in India as well. Most of the people are inclined towards it, regulatory intelligence, to keep up to date the databases, to keep up to date the RIMS, regulatory information management systems. So there are different sets of softwares and tools who enables you and can provide the data for multiple markets at a click of the button. So that is called as regulatory intelligence. This is the latest advancements which are going on across. Most of the companies have their own regulatory intelligence cells which performs regulatory intelligence activity, which guides the regulatory affairs professionals as well. and they provide certain updates to the RA people, who can then retrospectively go and check with the different cross-functional teams and keep update their product database. So RA collectively comprises of three main segments which are followed by performing RA activities: gather and monitor the data, analyze the information, and then regulatory strategy. So for example, if there is a change in submission guideline for US FDA, if they have changed the module number of, if they have incorporated new section in the CMC, or maybe module 2, or maybe module 4 or 5. How many modules are there for CTD? Okay, which are they? Module 1 administration, module 2 quality or security, module 3 quality, right? 4 and 5. So these are the set modules which are being applicable throughout the countries and being set by ICH majorly. So whenever there is a change in such kind of arranging the data, gathering the data, we are speaking mostly about marketing authorization application. So if you detect any change of in any of these guidelines, how we will be communicating that change to whom, that is decided by these regulatory intelligence people. So they first have to communicate to whom? If there is a change in modules, for example, होता नहीं है वैसे but change हो गया, so who will be regulatory intelligence person first, who will interact with whom? Which department do you think? A regulatory affairs person who is responsible for submission of that dossier to the markets. So intelligence person will talk to affairs team, like regulatory affairs team, and he will impact and he will assess the change, and then accordingly then coordinate with the different stakeholders as it is required. If there is a change in quality, then they have to interact with quality assurance, quality control or production team. So this is how the flow of coordination within the teams is established. Then with the regulatory intelligence systems, efficiency navigating the constant shifts in the regulatory landscape while reducing the time to approvals and allowing more and more innovative drugs to reach the patients at the right time. It has become critical that regulatory professionals as well as organizations must adapt to it at the earliest. What these slides means, like how many of you know a dosage form called as complex generics? Basically, it is an established terminology in US FDA only in today's world, in today's date. So we know the products are being consumed by us in India market, like mometasone furoate injections. Then there are certain products like bitter dose inhalers which we consume. They are categorized as complex generics as per US FDA definition of complex generics products. But in India, we got the approvals under different sections, whether it is a new drug approval or generics products. So now recently, me and my team have completed this product for one of the clients, where we have produced data for 8 to 9 different countries, how there is a similarity of approval of complex generics in US versus those 8 countries. So gathering the data, interacting with the regulatory authorities. Also, we have interacted with local consultants across those countries which the client is interested. So getting that data help the client to get the data of approved list of products which are approved in India, Turkey, the countries which we deal, India, Turkey, China, Australia, and 4 more different countries. So these have helped the client to prepare one section in United States of Pharmacopoeia, which will be launched soon on complex generics, where world can follow USP for producing the complex generics in more time effective manner. Because earlier complex generics is not a part of Pharmacopoeia. Now it will be in next 2 or 3 years maybe. We don't know, because they will decide. So that will be a part of United States Pharmacopoeia, so that any country which wants to get the approval, any company wants to get the approval of that bitter dose inhaler will get the approval within shorter timelines in today's date. How, for example, if they require 1 year, then in next after 4 years, once this general chapter is being produced in USP, they will require less than 10 months, for example. So this is the importance of regulatory intelligence. This is how the regulatory field keeps on evolving. Now, I have taken out few examples for regulatory intelligence tools which are present in the market. It's Darius Regulatory Intelligence Database, which is a part of, I guess, IQVR. It's a company who manages this. Then Cortelis Regulatory Intelligence and Cortelis CMC Intelligence. The company which I work with is Clarivate, and they manages these databases where you will get the compilation of all the regulatory requirements across the globe for preparing the dossiers, for submitting the dossiers. Everything you'll be getting point wise. Then CleanReg, which is an online database which provides the country specific clinical research regulatory information. So these are the databases which are available online. Some are free, some are subscribe based products where you can able to get the information on, and you can able to update yourself on the current regulatory requirements for all the countries across the globe. So like I was telling, India is becoming a hub for regulatory intelligence, regulatory affairs people, because for regulatory we just require one laptop and the person who have the knowledge. So this can be easily been done from India, because we have so many institutes right now in Nasik. When I completed my pharmacy graduation in 2006, there were only 3 colleges. Now we can see there are more than 10 colleges in district only, in Nasik district only. So we have good manpower, but the ratio of, you can say, regulatory learnings through the courses, like the syllabus is being same, which was taught in 20 years back, not any deep dive on regulatory and regulatory aspects, which should be included in the graduations, undergraduate students only, so that you can able to understand what is regulatory, how the regulatory functions, and once you complete your graduation or masters, you can able to apply for this field, evolving field. So I guess I'm done. Yeah. So any questions, guys, so far? काही क्वेश्चन असेल कृपया विचारा. Okay, so thank you for giving me an opportunity to give a session on this particular topic. So I wish you all the best for your career success, and thank you for patience listening. Thank you.
So there is a doubt from one of our students.
Yes.
That is, her name is Neelam Rukhare. She is a final year B.Pharm student of K.K.Wagh College of Nasik.
Okay.
And she raises a question that what are the change control categories in regulatory affairs?
Change control categories. Okay. So like I was explaining earlier before, what is change control basically? Change control is the system which is coming under QMS, quality management system, which is totally ownership of the quality persons in the manufacturing company. So whenever there is a change in the product as such, in the process or in the you can say the raw materials which are used in the tablet, for example, we will take a case of tablet. So now you have to change the parameters of the acceptance criteria for hardness or friability, which was earlier tighter. Now you have to change it by providing some other more close criteria for getting the approval. So that will be governed by change control. So for example, your product is being approved in US FDA for US market. So now the change control categories depend on the market of interest. Like I said, there are different categories which are being defined by every single country. For Europe, we have different change control categories. For US, we have different. For India, we have different. In Australia, if the product is approved and you are making the change for that product which is approved in Australia, the categories are different. So we have to assign, the regulatory person assigns that suitable category in which your product is being approved. Like we discussed for US, simply the CB0, CB30, prior approval supplements, these are the 3 major categories where a regulatory person will provide the assignment of that particular change control category, and then it will further be approved based on the regulations which are there for US FDA. So there is no such a categories for change control. There are categories country wise where the product is being approved and now you are making the change. So that's the answer of the question.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope Neelam Lukhari is answered with her question. And thank you so much, sir, for delivering such an informative speech.
She has to.
Good morning, sir. I'm Deepak Sharma from Century College.
Okay.
As I am approaching, I am in Masters for Regulatory Affairs. I have question what kind of project we should do to get an industry ready person, or anything particularly should include in project that can help us to get an industry as R&D.
That's a good question. So to do a project, like people like myself even, we used to do the projects directly into the companies, going there, then understanding the departments, and then writing down the project and synopsis out of it. Now you are completely into regulatory affairs, right? You are doing an M.Pharm in regulatory. So like I have explained in these slides, there are different topics which you can pick up. People can take the regulatory landscape of getting the approval systems in different selected countries, for example 10 countries or 2 regions, and what are the differences and similarities between the approval of the region specific requirements versus national specific requirement. Like we have ASEAN region, Association of Southeast Nations, there are 10 countries. So you can just compare between what are the national rules which are set up for getting the approval in Cambodia versus what are the rules and requirements for ASEAN CTD dossier. So these are the projects which you can take up, which are coming under regulatory landscape. There are certain projects which we can take up for clinical trial, that is regulatory precedence analysis, where you can able to go and check these databases like I explained. The one which is CleanRec, which gives hands-on information on clinical trial. So what are the different start point, end point, number of subjects, what are the type of clinical trials which are conducted for that therapeutic class. So these are the different clinical precedence analysis projects you can also think of. Then as I told, regulatory intelligence can be taken. So regulatory intelligence, you can also summarize the projects under which we can summarize the projects like I explained, one of the case studies for complex generics, which is a very niche segment where in today's date, no regulatory agencies have their own guidelines as robust as US FDA. So you can give a comparison. So like that, these are simple things which are just coming in my mind right now, and I hope I am able to answer your question. Thank you.
Is there any other delegate who wants to raise a doubt or a query? I would
Yes.
like it if the delegates are interactive.
Sir, basically nowadays most of the pharma companies facing the part in labeling according to different US FDA
Facing what?
Labeling section.
Issues or yes?
Yes sir.
Okay.
Regarding their section, there are a lot of languages we need to be modified during that time, right? So as per all are here, the students basically. So what is your perspective regarding how these guys or any senior person can work in labeling part? Because for product labeling is more than after that the preparation or the formula, the labeling is a major part which play in the authorization of the market. Yeah.
Correct. So labeling is itself is a separate department in the regulatory. Like I explained, there are different teams. One regulatory person cannot do all these things which I have explained. Change control अलग बंदा रहेगा, CMC के लिए अलग बंदा रहेगा, pre approval, post approval, market wise, molecule wise. You will get all lot of permutations and combinations while setting up a regulatory team as such for one particular activity. I was working in one of the companies where I have just set up a team for US annual report for vaccines. Again there were 14 vaccines, 3 vaccines ये बंदा काम करेगा, 4 vaccines के लिए ये बंदा काम करेगा. So again segregation of departments. So coming back to your question, labeling is again one of the crucial aspect. Even if your product is being manufactured, getting the approval, now the file is being stuck with the agency for getting the labeling approval. So we have an expert today who will be speaking on labeling requirement and how the departments are being set up, how the functions work for labeling department, mostly in the post-lunch session. So if you are here, you'll be getting to know more about the details about the labeling departments and everything. So yes, you are right. The file may get stuck at the labeling. So we have to follow the labeling rules and regulations, translations. There are certain regulations which keeps on evolving. Like recently there is a change in leveling requirement for getting the translations in Europe, EMA region. So there is a single guideline they have established. Now there is no need of national level of translations while providing approvals for MRP, TCP, national procedures in Europe. So we'll be getting more about this leveling post-lunch. So thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone else with the questions? All right then. Thank you so much, sir, for delivering such
Thank
an
you.
informative session.
Thank you.
I request a huge round of applause. Now I request Dr. D.D. Patil, sir, to present the vote of thanks for the conference.
Taken us through a tour what the regulatory affairs department, what are the different regulatory agencies within the world, the introduction to the regulatory affairs profession, responsibilities of RA professional, and he again introduced the new terminologies to all of us, that what the regulatory intelligence and complex generics also. So it's possible for us to work out. So I hereby thank you, Dr. Amit sir, for accepting our invitation and delivering the talk to all of the students. Thank you.
I would request Dr. D.D. Patil, sir, to acknowledge Mr. Amit Khurke, sir, with a certificate of appreciation and memento. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would ask my co-host Sakshi Raite to commence the second plenary session.
Thank you, Sakshi. Now I request our resource person, Dr. Shrikant R. Naik sir, Manager Regulatory Affairs, Freer Software Services Private Limited, Hyderabad, to share their thoughts on the basics of global regulatory affairs, RIM, career opportunities and prerequisites for the regulatory affairs jobs. Please, sir. To introduce our resource person, Dr. Shrikant R. Naik sir, to us.
It is my distinct honor to introduce Dr. Shrikant Arvind Naik sir, achiever in the field of regulatory affairs, whose career has been marked by unwavering dedication and profound expertise. Dr. Naik holds a PhD in chemistry from Mumbai University, achieved through diligent scholarship and rigorous research spanning from October 2016 to April 2021. Complementing this academic pinnacle, he has pursued further academic excellence, including an MBA in Total Quality Management from Sikkim Manipal University and MSc in Bioanalytical Sciences from Mumbai University. His academic journey began with BSc in Biotechnology, laying the foundation for his illustrious career. With over 11 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry, Dr. Naik has seamlessly integrated his expertise in regulatory affairs with a keen understanding of information technology, gathering around 7 years of experience in this domain. His career route is decorated with significant roles across esteemed organizations where he has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership and proficiency. Notably, his tenure as Manager of Regulatory Affairs at Freer Software Services Private Limited, Hyderabad, has been marked by exemplary contributions. Here, he has spearheaded initiatives to ensure flawless compliance and streamline regulatory processes. His strategic acumen and proficiency in regulatory information management have been instrumental in driving success. Prior to this, Dr. Naik served in pivotal roles at Teva Pharmaceuticals India Private Limited and Abbott Laboratories, where he exhibited exemplary leadership as a senior figure in regulatory affairs. His contributions range from overseeing global projects aimed at enhancing regulatory data quality to serving as a subject matter expert in critical areas such as XEVMPD compliance, that means one of the database for medicines. Throughout his career, Dr. Naik has demonstrated a commitment to excellence, evident in his meticulous approach to regulatory activities and his adeptness in navigating complex regulatory landscapes. His technical prowess encompasses a spectrum of skills including the database softwares like XEVMPD, RIMS administration, project management and many more. Beyond his professional endeavors, Dr. Naik is characterized by his multifaceted persona, a man of diverse interests. He finds solace in music and is known for his melodious singing also. Rooted in Indian culture and values, he remains deeply connected to his roots in Maharashtra, India. In conclusion, Dr. Srikant Ravindra Naik stands as a model of excellence in regulatory affairs, blending academic rigor with practical acumen to drive impactful change in the pharmaceutical landscape. His sterling contributions and unwavering commitment serves as an inspiration to colleagues and aspirants alike, embodying the ethos of innovation and integrity in the pursuit of regulatory excellence. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Naik to these esteemed plenary sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So please continue with the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. So basically, first of all, I would like to thank Lord Ganesha and Saraswati for giving me this opportunity. While coming from Mumbai, Thane to Nashik, at Toll Naka, I read one beautiful sentence that is, welcome to Kavi Kusumagrajancha Nashik Nagri Gade. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for welcoming in this organization, in this institute. And today we will be talking about regulatory information management system. First of all, what is regulatory information management that we will talk? Can you present it? What's your career in regulatory affairs or regulatory information management? Anyone who has decided maybe plan A, not plan A but plan B, if at all. Okay. In the English, whichever language you are comfortable. Anyone who has decided to pursue career in regulatory affairs or regulatory information management? अच्छा First of all, what is regulatory information management? Today we have gathered here for three presentations. First one, which was Amit sir's presentation, which was on we talked about regulatory affairs department. In next session we will be talking about labeling. Okay, so all these functions are complement to each other. Okay, regulatory affairs is such a vast field where you have a lot of opportunities, and I would like to thank and congratulate K.K.Wagh College for setting up this kind of presentation session today, because since 2017 I'm into academics, but till now I haven't heard or haven't seen any like institute who has organized such ceremony, or we can say like this conference kind of thing. So this is for the first time I'm seeing, and I'm really happy. I'm not a pharmacist. I'm MSc PhD. So thanks again for calling me out here. Regulatory information management. So it is first complement to regulatory affairs department. Okay, regulatory affairs like somewhere around since 1970s to 2000 we were talking about much about regulatory affairs, but regulatory information management was one field. Today we are talking about digitalization. Okay, so regulatory information management is also kind of digitalization of regulatory data. So like first instance when like we got that instinct that we will be having regulatory information management in the world, that was 2002 2003 when first time ECTD was introduced. That time it was kind of add-on work or kind of headache for most of the companies, because they were feeling that if we are dealing with paper dossiers and these submissions, why ECTD is required. But today, after almost 10 to 15 years, we got to know that how much importance that regulatory information management has got. So regulatory information management means collection, organization, storing, communication of regulatory data. Okay, over the period of time, like Amit sir was talking about Microsoft skills. Suppose like some of us are having Microsoft Word skills. They used to have like practice to store their data in Microsoft Word format. Someone will like store the data in Microsoft Excel format. Someone will store in Microsoft PowerPoint presentation format. But there was like instance where like if you want to get some information in one go, there regulatory information management came into picture. Okay, so collection of data into one system, that is the primary function of regulatory information management. Then organization, not only collection, after collecting the data you should have that in an organized form. So that is part of regulatory information management team. Then storing of the data. So storing of the data is nothing but archiving of the data, like life cycle management. So each and every aspect of storing of the data into one database is primary function of regulatory information management. Then communication. So communication is nothing but not within the organization, not within the team. We sometimes regulatory professional, as Amit sir said, we have to communicate with different people from different organizations, different affiliates from health authorities. So regulatory information management is such a tool, or system is such a tool where like we have to get that information and we need to communicate with different stakeholders. And the system that works for regulatory information management is RIMS. In the market today we have n number of systems of different vendors, different companies have built their own regulatory information management system. Okay, more or less every company like in RIMS, they work in a similar fashion. Maybe UI, user interface wise, you can see some difference. Regulatory is not only for pharmaceutical products, it can be for medical devices, foods, cosmetics, water samples. Like in pharma industry or associated with pharma industry, each and every company or each and every organization will have regulatory information management system. If they want to achieve a compliance, regulatory information management is nothing but compliance, which is at most required in today's pharma world. Okay. Regulatory information management. Now question is why it is important. First, to streamline product life cycle management. Pharmaceutical life cycle management is not very easy stuff. There are multiple things. First of all, 10 to 15 years for getting approval for any product in the market. Then like after approval also there are some kind of changes which we need to communicate to health authority in the form of variation or post approval changes, we can say. To gather the data on a single regulatory platform. As we mentioned that based on everyone's choice, they used to store the data in respective format. But regulatory information management system gave an opportunity to individual to store the data in one system in a granular level. Granularity is most important in regulatory information management system because there are multiple components, multiple sections associated with pharma products. So we have to with granularity we have to add the data in regulatory information management system. So that's why it is important. Then to keep uniformity of the data across the globe. Simple example, like I'll call tablet as tablet, someone will call it as tablet, some will call it as tablety. Okay, so all these are one term, but like based on your choice that you will call it as tablets or I'll call as tablet. But in regulatory information management, we have to add the data, we have to distribute the data with uniformity. Okay, so across the globe, everyone will use same terminology if we are using regulatory information management system for a company. Then to track real-time changes to the life cycle management. Okay, it is not the thing is that like once we get approval, our job is over. So regulatory professional has endless job, right from its strategy till the product gets withdrawn from the market. So each and every component that we have associated with that pharmaceutical product needs to be added in regulatory information management system. I mean, like after approval of any product, like after 1 year, our R&D department says that now we can extend our shelf life of XYZ product from 24 months to 36 months. Okay, so first of all that will be planned. So that planning stage will start in regulatory information management system as a RIM professional. Then like submission, so it is planned state, from to submission it is submitted state, and from submission like whether we will get any kind of questions from health authority or any kind of commitments that we have to give to health authority, whether it is conditional approval or final approval. So that will be final stage of that respective event. Okay, so each and every small component of like pharma product we need to add in regulatory information management system. Then to keep agility for quick updates and modifications to accommodate new regulations and guidelines confirming compliance in fast developing landscape. So like sir was telling about XEVMPD. So it is not very old or not very new concept to the market, because in 2012 it started XEVMPD. So it is basically coordination between pharmacovigilance and regulatory affairs. Okay, so XEVMPD is Extended Ultra Vigilance Medicinal Product Dictionary. So it was started by EMA in 2010. It started in 2005, but till 2010 no one had that idea that what is all about. In 2012 it became mandatory. So now like whichever companies are dealing in European region, they have to adhere to XEVMPD guidance. And very soon we will be having IDMP in scope, identification of medicine product, which I'll talk about in my next slides. Regulatory information management, what? Product, substance and registration management. First of all, any RIM system starts with product database. Product database means, you take example of paracetamol. So paracetamol has injectable is also there for paracetamol, tablet is also there. So that is the product. So paracetamol 500 milligram tablet is your product. And in many countries you will sell that product. In order to get approval, you need to first submit that product to health authority through regulatory department. But product database is your molecular database, your API active pharmaceutical ingredient database with dosage form and route of administration. Then registration management is country specific. Okay, so Crocin is there in India, but in other countries it may have different name by GSK. So that way we have to add the data in our system, or we need to store the data in the system. Then submission planning and tracking. Okay, when we are talking about we have to file something, we need to first plan like what information we are going to send to health authority, which manufacturing facility we are going to use for that manufacturing of product, what will be the strength, labeling part is there, medical services, pharmacovigilance, each and every component we will track and we will make a plan that this is the submission planning, and tracking of that is also important. Commitments, correspondence, HA meetings and obligations. So these are basically communication between health authority and the company. So regulatory affairs department is basically responsible for communicating, because no other department has right to communicate with health authority directly. But regulatory affairs department has that right that they can connect to health authority directly in order to answer the queries. Okay, suppose there is a question regarding like strength, biowaiver, or like addition of excipients in any of the formulation. Health authority will call regulatory affairs person who will be responsible for that molecule, and that person can reach out to respective person from respective department and gather the data and send that data, gather that information and answer the queries to health authority in a required format. Regulatory word itself is telling you that it is structured way of articulating things or articulating data in one format which is uniquely distributed for different health authorities. Then content planning and EDMS. So content planning is part of your publishing. So publishing today, like we are not talking about much about publishing, but publishing is another like I was talking about ECTD, which was evolved in 2002, 2003. So publishing is like content planning is what the data that we are going to communicate with health authority. So that data we will structured like we will create one structure, and that called as content planning. So publishing is one part of regulatory information management system, where like initially we were talking about CTD, common technical document, which is also known in layman language in pharma world it is dossier. Okay, so dossier is paper dossier or CD format dossier. So nowadays like we are talking about eCTD, electronic common technical document. Like if I tell you that I am filing one dossier which is paper dossier, we don't have eCTD as of now. So think about like one dossier is there, I have gathered that information, I have created the document. Has anyone having idea like how many pages like are there in dossier, minimum pages? Any idea about dossier? Have you heard about dossier words? Okay. So like sometimes dossier can be 100 pages, sometimes it can be in lakhs. So if it is innovative product, we have to like provide like rigorous information regarding that molecule. So like initially dossiers can be many pages, we cannot calculate that as well. So publishing is what, suppose paper dossier there, one dossier I have created, I have sent to health authority. So you people are health authority, consider like you people are health authority, and everyone has different role to play in that like dossier approval process. Okay, so like if one person is part of QC reviewer, one person is part of QA reviewers, next one is manufacturing facility. Okay, one dossier can be like monitored by one person at a time. Okay, no, like multiple people cannot work on common technical document which is paper dossier or CD dossier. But like irrespective of that, in ECTD is a granular way of dossier. Multiple documents will be placed in one like hierarchical tree view, which like any person can open that dossier anytime and can see his or her respective part. So because of ECTD approval process, okay, in Europe region or US region has come down from 9 to 10 months to 1 month or 2 months. So that is how drastically it has been changed. Then labeling, publishing and archiving. Labeling, in next session we will have more insights on labeling, but in labeling you have artwork, patient information leaflet, which is peel, package insert, PI. So multiple documents are there which we can track with the help of regulatory information management system. Then archiving. Okay, in pharma world you cannot discard any document. Okay, you cannot discard any document or delete any document once it is added in regulatory information management system, because it is controlled system where like you can obsolete that document. If it is not in use, you can obsolete that document, but it is not easy to delete any information from regulatory information management system if it is 100% compliant system. Okay, so archival is another important thing which is part of regulatory information management system. Then supply chain management. So in Europe region we have that concept, like in India also nowadays we have barcode system. So whenever you buy any product from pharmacist or medical, like that person like normally scans your product. Okay, so that information gets tracked into the database of that pharmacist shop. That information goes to the company. That information sometimes can be shared with pharmacovigilance board or also with that respective country. So supply chain management is nothing but tracking of the product, like how much importance of that product is there in the market, how many units needs to be sold in the market. Each and every part of that will be part as supply chain management. Then XEVMPD and IDMP. So XEVMPD is 12 years old concept. IDMP is new concept. It was supposed to be launched in 2016 in Europe region, not in like ROW or any other region. It was supposed to be launched in 2016, but because of health authority was not ready. It is ISO compliant process or project we can say. So 2016, because of health authority was not ready, EMA was not ready, then many companies were not ready with the database because it is highly compliant database. So now in 2024, like we are going to have first phase of IDMP. So this is another job opportunity or career opportunity for you guys in order to choose your career. Because regulatory affairs, we were talking about, it is vast field. You have multiple opportunities. Just the thing is that you need to understand what are they. Then this is classic structure of regulatory information management system or management team. We can start from strategy and planning. So start strategy and planning, then product information management, product registration tracking, which we talked about in earlier slides, then dossier management, which is CTD management, labeling operations, artwork, PI, each and every component will be part of labeling operations. Then resource management. So like one person in regulatory cannot work for all the aspects. I mean, right from submission of dossier to approval of that dossier. So there are multiple people who are jointly working on one process or one dossier in order to get the approval from health authority. Okay. Then regulatory archiving, basically the documents which are not in use or the documents which can be used for future scope can be part of regulatory archiving process. Then regulate health authority interactions. As I mentioned, regulatory professional has right to connect with health authority in order to answer their queries, in order to add or delete something from the dossier or add anything in the dossier. So health authority interactions, obligations are there which we track in regulatory information management system. Regulatory intelligence, Amit sir talked about regulatory intelligence. I'll give you more insights in my next slide regarding regulatory intelligence. What are the other aspects that you can learn in regulatory intelligence? Then change control. As I mentioned, in regulatory you cannot delete any document, you cannot approve any document by yourself. Okay. First of all, that document will be created in draft format. So draft is first part, and that draft will be checked by other person who will be working as kind of QCL for that document. Okay. Once QC is done, it is 100% clear. Then that document will get submitted to health authority, and from health authority, maybe we will get additional questions. So additional questions can be like answered by same person who is responsible for drafting that document. Okay. Final stage will be approval or rejection. Normally documents get approval at later stage unless and until company wants to like withdraw that document or withdraw that product. Then so strategy and planning was the first step. Regulatory information management future scope. Regulatory digitalization. as we were talking about, regulatory digitalization is something like which like we are talking about Google Pay, Phone Pay, these are digital money platforms. Same way regulatory digitalization is regulatory information management systems hard, because earlier we had paper dossiers, paper documents, we had gathered the data in Excel format, Word format or PowerPoint format. But nowadays, if we have regulatory information management or RIMS in place, we can gather the data in single platform. Regulatory compliance. RIMS is compliance work. I mean, when I was working for my first organization, we had audit from MHRA, which is UK's health authority, and they had a question that why your company has huge portfolio, then why there is no regulatory information management system. So it was not a rejection from health authority, but it was kind of like additional like input that health authority MHRA gave during that inspection. So that is where RIMS came into picture in that organization, and now like we are into compliance. Regulatory intelligence. Regulatory intelligence is another booming field. Since 2015, like many people are talking about regulatory intelligence world. Regulatory intelligence is not a small field. It has multiple attributes. Like I can give you one example. Your company is manufacturing paracetamol. Very simple example. Your company is manufacturing that product, selling that product into the market. It is doing well. Okay. Some or other day, if any of the companies or health authority identified that because of consuming paracetamol, not because of paracetamol, but the excipient that is added in that formulation, because of that any adverse event or adverse reaction happened to any consumer, okay, your RI, your regulatory information intelligence system will give you pop-up that because of this ingredient in like XYZ country, one person has died or any adverse event happened with that person. Okay, so you will get that trigger in your system, and like through that trigger you can monitor your product, your portfolio in RIMS, that how many products, not only paracetamol, how many other products are having that excipient. So accordingly you can recall that product, or you can hold that product, or you can communicate with health authority. So that is how regulatory intelligence works. Another thing is that RTQ, response to queries. Okay, when you get any question from health authority, that is called as RFI, request for information. Okay, which you get from health authority through email communication via QPPB, qualified person for pharmacovigilance or regulatory professional. When you get that information, so regulatory intelligence, what it does, it gives you idea that in RTQ, response to queries is nothing but what you write to health authority, okay, in order to answer that RFI, request for information. So RI gives you platform to like create your answer, because regulatory intelligence is based on AI, that is artificial intelligence. It will give you like draft answer that this is how we can answer to health authorities question. Like responsible person or expert person can check that answer whether it is correctly drafted by AI, artificial intelligence or not, and based on that you can send that to health authority. Then regulatory synergy. So earlier we had different systems in place in regulatory information management world. Like for publishing we had different system, for documental management we had a different system, for regulatory simple activities tracking different system. But nowadays, like most of the companies they have created a vault or unified system where like every component of regulatory can be tracked in one system. So that is regulatory synergy. So it is future scope. Not all companies have created that because it has cost effective associated with that. So that is why most of the companies are dealing with multiple systems, standalone systems that they have. Artificial intelligence. Nowadays we are talking about ChatGPT and other platforms where like you can create your presentation, you can write your CV, like many things you can write there itself. But in regulatory artificial intelligence, like this is the art of regulatory intelligence, because in the back end artificial intelligence is working on regulatory intelligence. It will give you idea, or it will give you platform to draft your answer, to give you additional information that health authority is asking. Accumulate synergy. Very few people know in the industry that like what is going on with Accumulate Synergy. So Accumulate Synergy is one kind of company. So this company is dealing with different life science companies, health authorities, to create one single platform in order to track regulatory or like applications, regulatory forms. Initially we used to have PDF form, application form for Europe region. Nowadays we have electronic application form, that is known as EF. Okay, in EF what we do, we just fill Google form and we send that, we communicate that to health authority in order to communicate with them. Okay, so anytime any person who has access to that product, who is responsible to work on that product, can open that site, can fill the data, and directly health authority will get that insight, that what we are trying to tell them in that product. So Accumulate Synergy is one kind of project or product, we can say. 10 years down the line, now we are talking about dossier, ECTD, labeling, multiple components separately, but 10 years, 15